The Summer I Turned 34. My cousin just came up with that title, and I'm obsessed with it because I am down bad for The Summer I Turned Pretty right now. As I'm recording this, episode 6 released today, and it's like fighting every bone in my body to not watch it the second I woke up this morning. But we dealt with a wetting of the bed at 4:30, so I was just not in the spirits at 6 a.m. to watch The Summer I Turned Pretty, and I'm saving it for tonight because I've been binging and I'm finally now caught up live, and I'm happy about that to be able to discuss it with everyone, and I'm also like, "How am I supposed to wait a week in between episodes, and how did you all wait, like, 2 years in between season 2 and 3?" I don't know, but I'm loving it, and because this is the summer I turned 34, and we're gonna talk about lessons and things I've learned over life and especially more recently. This episode is now the summer I turned 34. And let me just say, summer has been getting a lot of hate lately. I feel like I've seen a lot of stuff on my social media about like, fuck August. I hate the summer. August is the worst month ever. No, I am a summer baby through and through. I love the summer. It is where I feel my most authentic self. It is where I come alive. Like I feel my personality defrosting in the end of May. Probably because I get to spend so much time at the beach, which is like my happy place. And I will also say, I am the type of person that at the end of every season, I'm excited for the next season. So while I love August so much because it's when I take my annual vacation with my family and I'm like fully off the grid, which I cannot wait for the last week of August. So right now, while you're listening to this episode, and it's my birthday, and I'm such a birthday person. I love my birthday. And it's the time where I feel like I get to spend so much time in my happy place. I get to see my family and friends a lot. I tend to kind of try to pull back on work. I also am so excited for the fall because whenever I pull back on work a little bit, I get more excited to dive back in, which I think is a good thing, hopefully. So I'm getting that itch a little bit for fall where it's like, okay, I am itching to be able to comfortably wear. Honestly, this outfit I changed when I got to the studio because it's hot as fucking balls outside. But to dress for the fall, to do fall things, for it to be cool in the morning on my walks with Charlie, to have the ample time to like dive into work and not be traveling every weekend. And I just think that like everyone's schedule is confusing, especially kids in the summer, especially in August, like school's off, camp's off, all of the things. So I love summer and I am excited for fall. We're going to talk, I prepared a little bit about lessons I have learned, or I don't know if it's like pillars of life. That seems a little intense, but things that I have really changed and come to focus on over the years, specifically this past year. So, my first one, and like the biggest lesson that I think I have learned recently, is that your mental health matters. It is wildly important, especially if you have kids. We just talked about this in the episode with Dr. Nikki Pensack about how like the greatest determining factor of a child's well-being is maternal mental health. And I don't mean that in a way that's like, you have to be the happiest, like, don't take on this whole other burden. We already are stressed enough as moms. But I mean it in the way of like, give yourself permission to do things that make you happy. That could be a workout class. That could be getting your nails done. That could be reading a good book. That could be a girls' dinner. That could be going on a vacation. Like, whatever it is, it can be small things. It doesn't have to be this huge thing that you're doing every single day, but finding joy in the little things and prioritizing your mental health. That has been probably the biggest focus for me this past year. My mental health has gone through a long, wide array of twists and turns and ups and downs. And yes, I had anxiety majority of my life, even though I didn't have like the language or the wherewithal to understand that that's what it was. And then it hit a low in my 20s when I had like all of the things that I thought I wanted: the job, the apartment, living in the city, the boyfriend, like all of those things. And I was still wildly anxious and depressed and like crying myself to sleep at night, feeling so alone. That was one of my rock bottoms, and that was when I really started to prioritize my mental health. And then, obviously, I've talked about this a lot, but after having specifically my first and experiencing postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety, and realizing that I can't completely just give myself over to my children, at that point, my child, and not have any time for myself. And I know it sounds so lame, like put your oxygen mask on first, but it exists for a reason. Like that is actually very true. And so prioritizing my mental health has been a huge focus for me in the past year. That means, sure, things like my medication. I'm still on Zoloft, Zoloft gang. Love that fucking pill. And Strattera for my ADHD, which ties into this. Therapy. Am I gonna say this? Yeah, sure. I actually just decided that my therapist and I've been seeing her for 7 years, and it's gotten to a point where I feel like not stuck, but I think, like, similar things keep repeating themselves for me, and I feel like talk therapy isn't completely breaking through in the way that I want it to, and I felt like I was going into therapy dreading it a little bit, and not in the sense of like, "Oh, I'm dreading having these intense conversations," more just like, "What are we gonna talk about today? I don't know." And I said this to her, and so I think we're gonna do a little bit of a pause. We are switching to, like, once a week now, and then maybe we'll go, like, as needed, but I am going to try EMDR therapy, because ever since the episode with Ethan Sapienza on the show, which I'll link in the show notes, I've been like really interested in EMDR therapy. And I feel like it could be beneficial for me to work through some of these roadblocks. So I'm going to try that. I will share what I feel comfortable with at a time I feel comfortable. But like that's a huge portion of my mental health. Another big thing is movement and like finding joy in movement, finding movement that makes you happy, not doing some form of movement just to like weigh a certain amount or to fit into something. Like that portion of my life feels so foreign to me now. I can't even comprehend that that's how my brain used to operate, but finding joy in movement. And that could be for me, it's a Pilates class that I'm trying to go to once a week, or I've been getting more into tennis because I'm actually having so much fun playing, and it, like, is feeding this inner athlete, younger version of me that makes me so happy to, like, learn something again, or working out in my pajamas for 15 minutes in the morning just to, like, have a second to move my body before my day gets started. Another thing within mental health is prioritizing joy. And this is going to look different for everyone, but like what actually makes you happy? And we talked about this in the episode with Megan Hellerer of like really playing this game of like hot and cold as you're making decisions. And that could be even like career focused, sure. But I mean like on a more granular, smaller scale of like, what am I wearing today? Is this outfit bringing me joy? Do I feel like myself? Do I feel like I'm dressing like someone else? What is making you happy? For me, smutty romance novels. Lately, kind of like mindless TV. Spending so much time with my girlfriends, date nights with Joe, spending actual quality time with my children where I'm focused on them and playing with them and not constantly thinking about 10,000 things I need to be doing. Prioritizing those things that are bringing you joy. And then the last part about mental health that I've really been working on lately, and this has honestly come from a lot of you guys in my DMs of advice, and I so appreciate it, but specifically around that, like, PMDD window of depression is just riding that wave. And I think so much for me when I'm anxious or when I'm depressed, I get a second layer of, like, guilt or anger. Either angry that I feel this way, or angry that my brain is operating this way, or angry that this is just who I am, and then guilt that I put other people in my life in this position to have to care for me, such as, like, I don't know, sometimes I'll feel guilty that I like, it being Joe, I'm like, "God, this must be so fucking annoying." Or even, like, my mom or my sister or my close friends. Anyway, so for me, I think I'm trying to let go of that anger and guilt, that second layer, and that try to, like, need to fix everything and just accept sometimes days are gonna fucking suck. Sometimes I'm gonna be in a bad mood. Sometimes I'm gonna be upset. Sometimes I'm gonna wanna cry and just be sad and in a funk, and riding that wave. Because as I've told myself thousands of times, again, when it comes to parenting, everything's temporary. And that includes the highs and that includes the lows. So with my mental health, when I'm having the low, I'm trying to create space for myself to actually just like ride that wave and find healthy things that allow me to move through it in a way that's not like forcing my way out with every fiber of my being. Sometimes it just means that day, maybe I'm working from bed. Okay. Maybe I'm taking a nap instead of exercising. I don't know, but allowing myself to feel my feels. Another lesson. And I, like, so wholeheartedly believe this, that strong female friendships are the backbone to happiness. I am so grateful for my female friendships, I don't even know where to begin. Like, I would be nothing without them. And I was thinking about this morning because as it's leading up to my birthday, I'm thinking about how I wanna celebrate, and I was talking to Joe, like, I've always said I wanna have this big, like, backyard college style house party now that we have a house. And I decided I wanna save that for next year for my 35th. And this year, I said I just wanna be surrounded by my girlfriends. I wanna do something with all of my girls where it's just like throwback to a girl's slumber like, I just wanna be with my girlfriends, having fun, chatting and laughing and my favorite types of nights, and that is my style of hangouts. Like, I know some people love going out to, like, a nice girls' dinner and looking all cute. I love rolling up to my neighbor's house or my friend's house in, like, cozy clothes, sitting on the back porch, drinking can, and laughing my fucking ass off. And I don't think we talk about the importance of female friendships enough. For me, they are my saving grace because they are there when I'm having my lows to lift me up or to honestly just be an ear of like, "Yeah, same. I feel you. This is fucking crazy. I also am ready to lose it on my kids." Or to laugh my ass off with, or to experience the highs with, or to co-parent with, or to talk about whatever is happening in pop culture or a book we're reading or a show we're watching, or sending each other memes and laughing so hard in group text. Like a good girls group text, nothing compares. Nothing compares. I love the hype of a group text. So for me, prioritizing female friendships has been huge. And within that, figuring out what relationships actually leave you feeling happier. You should not be prioritizing friendships where you leave feeling drained every single time. Sometimes, sure, someone's going to have a hard day. It's going to be difficult. You're going to have to be there to support them. I'm not saying that, like, don't do that. Okay. But if every time you leave seeing this person, you feel either less than, or you feel drained, or you feel judged, or you feel like all they did was talk shit about other people, or you feel like all they did was criticize. That's not a relationship you should be prioritizing, in my opinion. Or I will say, that's not a relationship I am prioritizing. I don't wanna be with people who are constantly tearing down everyone around them, or the woe is me, or like, everything is so hard. Obviously, we're gonna have hard moments, but I don't wanna be in this, like, downward spiral of what's the word I'm looking for? But I don't wanna be in this downward spiral of criticism and negativity. So, for me, I'm prioritizing female friendships that leave me feeling lighter and happier, and really prioritizing that time with them. And I know that's not always possible if you don't live close to that person, but that can also be like FaceTimes, okay? Like it doesn't have to be in person. Obviously, it's what I prefer, but it doesn't have to be. In that sense, also really prioritizing community and village. And I talk about this a ton. And I know it's coming from a privileged place because I have such an incredible village, but I also can confidently say that that village was built brick by brick. It didn't just magically appear. Like putting in an effort to be other people's village members is how you create a village. A village doesn't just show up. You have to be a village member. So for me, this past year, I have honestly wished I had prioritized it more. I feel like I've kind of dropped the ball on a few things because so many things have been happening, and that's okay. But I really want to continue prioritizing being that village member that people can rely on if they need something and showing up for people and just like fostering that community because there is nothing I love more than helping the people I love. And especially when it comes to this concept of like community parenting, it's very much how Joe and I operate with our friends. We love nothing more than to all just like throw everyone in a room and it's like your kids are my kids. Like I have so many bonus kids, is what I kind of reference them as. And it's the greatest gift. I said this the other day on TikTok, but specifically, like one of my best friends moved a mile and a half away, and her daughter, I see, I don't know, 3 plus 4 times a week, and she is fully, like, my bonus daughter, my boys are my friends' bonus sons, like, having that relationship is the greatest gift, and I think back on my childhood and how many of my mom's very close friends I would reference as like, "Oh, my second mom," like, kind of joking around, but I knew I could call them if I ever needed anything, and I'm still extremely close with many of them, and that is such a gift for me as the adult and also to give my children, and yet another reason why female friendships are the fucking shit. Another thing I'm really focused on this past year and moving forward is not spending time trying to be someone else. It is a waste of your time. I use this reference when people ask, like, how do I get started in social media? What do I do? Where do I begin? And you can always look at other people because, sure, it's helpful to see like what people are doing and who's seen success where. And, oh, I really like the way they did this, whatever. But if you go out to try to be someone else, no one's going to follow you because they're just going to want to follow the person that you're trying to be. And the analogy I use is if you think about everyone's life or personality or social media channel as a TV show, think about a genre, okay? So comedy. So that could be like a content creator who focuses on motherhood, okay? Those are the parallels. Now think about Friends. If someone tried to make a like copy of Friends, no one's going to watch it. Everyone's just gonna want Friends. Why would I watch a copy of Friends when I could just watch Friends? That's how I feel about this. Why would I follow or wanna be friends with someone who's trying to be this person when I could just follow or be friends with that person? But if you make your own thing within that genre, The Office, people are gonna love it. Those 2 things can coexist, Friends and The Office, very different shows, same genre under comedy, but they are different. Do not go try to be someone else because everyone's just gonna want that person that you're trying to be, not you. And I really think figuring out your, like, inner navigation system of getting aligned with who you are at your core is key to finding success in your life and in your career. And this is something I have had a bit of a hard time with in this career in years prior because I think I was so true to myself and I knew who I was and I was very much like, take it or leave it. This is who I am. And then I started this job and I started to get inundated with people's opinions of me. And I started to see what everyone else was doing. And I think that, sure, this applies to me as a content creator, but I think this applies to everyone in life who's on social media now, even as a consumer, because we are way too aware of what everyone is doing, whether it's what they like, what they're wearing, what they're eating, where they're vacationing, who they're with. Like, we just know way too much information. And it's confusing to consume all of that information and stay true to your inner navigation system and who you truly are. So I think along the way, I lost it a bit where I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing this because that person's doing it. Or I'm supposed to dress this way because that influencer dresses this way. Or my show should sound like this because they do it that way. And within the past year, I have really tried to lean back into who I am at my core. What do I want to wear? I don't fucking care what they're wearing. What do I want to wear? What do I want to talk about? How do I want to show up on my platform? And for me, every time I lean back into that, every time I show up as my truest self, every time I stop thinking about others or every time I just like I mean, the simplest thing is like the talking to the camera stories where it's like, okay, it's the morning. I'm just going to put my phone up and talk to you. Those are the stories that I engage with my community. Those are where I foster the relationships with people in my DMs. Those are where I end up growing. And this is just coming from a work perspective, but I think it's true across the spectrum. You have to stay true to yourself and stop trying to be someone else. And I believe that in your 20s, especially, it's so easy to feel like I need to do this because they're doing it, or I'm supposed to look this way, or I'm supposed to wear this thing. And with social media, we're losing this sense of identity and everyone is ending up looking the same. So that was a huge focus for me this past year. And it continues to be a massive focus for me moving forward. Because also, like, how boring would it be if we were all the same? That is so fucking boring. That is so boring. And I think about this even in the people I follow, like, and the content I consume. I don't want to consume all of the people who look like me or sound like me or do the same thing. I want diversity. Diversity is really fucking important across the board on every single spectrum. Not only should you not be spending time trying to be someone else, but also, like, I've given up this idea of trying to be perfect. I'm so fucking done with the idea of being perfect. It is exhausting. I think about the way I used to live where I needed everything to be a specific way and had to look perfect and be perfect and fit in these little boxes, and I was so type A and controlling, and I honestly don't know how I operated. I think about that now, and I am sheerly exhausted by the idea. And again, going back to advice I give if someone's like, "How do I start in content creation?" I promised myself in the beginning, and I think that this just, like, ties into it all, that I would never set a precedent that I had to look a certain way to show up online. Because if I told myself, "Oh, my background has to be clean, I have to be, like, nicely dressed, my hair has to be done, my makeup has to be done, I have to look, quote, unquote, perfect," I would never show up online. Because I'm rarely ever checking all of those boxes, especially at once. So you would just simply never see me. And that's fine, but then I wouldn't have this job. And so I think for me, that allowed me the space to show up imperfectly and be comfortable with that from the very beginning. And again, I think it's something that I felt I lost a little bit and now have fully come back to. But letting go of the concept of perfection, whether that be the way your house looks, whether that be the way your physical appearance looks or your clothes or the way you parent, like there is no perfect parent. We had an incredible episode on that, and I'll link it in the show notes, but, like, you cannot be a perfect parent. You're gonna fuck up. You are gonna fuck up, and that is okay. And you're gonna rupture, and you're gonna lose out on your kids, and you're gonna snap, and you're gonna yell. And what matters is how you repair. And so for me, I'm letting go of that idea of trying to be perfect because A, that would be sheerly exhausting to try to be a perfect parent. B, it doesn't exist because there is no perfect parent, and it's gonna be different for every kid, and you can't be a perfect parent to 2 kids. If you have 2 different children, you can't show up as 2 different people 24/7, like, you have to parent differently. So, I have really just let go of that. I think perfection is quite honestly boring, and I think we should all be more accepting and encouraging of the oddities that make us, you know? Like, let me see the fucking wrinkles on your face. Let me see your eyebrow go whack on one side like mine. Let me see the way that you say words or phrases incorrectly. Who cares? Literally, who cares? Okay. So letting go of perfection. With that, also prioritizing the things that actually matter to you, not what you've been told should matter. For instance, like the clean house. Okay. Think of it this way. Like, if I actually set a precedent that, like, the kids' toys had to be put away every single second they weren't playing with them, or every dish, had to be cleaned right away, or there couldn't be anything laying around. Like, I would be exhausted, and I would not have the time to do the things I enjoy. So, instead of cleaning up every single toy the second my kids are done with it, I'm just playing with the kids and the toys. And sure, maybe they're gonna stay out there all night. Who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? We're gonna come back downstairs and they're eventually gonna pull them out of that bin again the next morning. So honestly, what does it matter if we sleep and and the kids' toys are all over the ground? I actually don't care. So for me, I'm prioritizing the things that actually bring me joy and that matter to me rather than the perfection. What matters to me is that my kids have fun and that they know I love them and that honestly they think I'm fun. Like I want them to want to spend time with me. And if I'm chasing them around trying to clean up after them 24/7, I can't imagine that's enjoyable if I were them. Another big thing for me this past year and a continue focus moving forward is adjusting the way that I think about vulnerability because I think many of us were raised to believe that vulnerability is weak. It's like, don't be sad, stop crying, get over it, move on, be happy. And vulnerability is not weak, it's a superpower. Like, it's really strong to be able to tell someone, especially someone that you love, hey, when you did that, this like really hurt my feelings, or I feel this way, or like, I feel scared to admit this, but I want to say that like I'm having a really hard time with XYZ. And I think vulnerability is the first step. And then the second step is actually accepting help. And I feel very comfortable now with the vulnerability aspect of things. And I struggle with the acceptance of help. I feel comfortable saying, "This is how I feel, and this is why something is hard, and I'm having a really hard time with XYZ." And then when someone's like, "Okay, let me whatever," I'm kind of like, I don't need that. I can do it. I can do it all. I can do it with a broken heart." No, but, like, "I can do it all. Don't worry. I've got it," and try to almost, like, prove to them that I can be independent, and I think it's hurting me in the long run. So what I'm trying to flip the script with my brain is I think about how much I enjoy supporting someone else, like how much joy that brings me to be able to help someone if they're having a hard time. And I don't know if joy is the right word because if they're having a hard time, I'm not like happy, but how much purpose comes from helping other people for me. And then flipping it and thinking, okay, well, let me allow that person to feel this way. And if you are hearing this and you're like, "But I don't want everyone to take care of me. I don't wanna feel like a burden." If someone loves you, you're not feeling like a burden, okay? I'm not saying you need to rely on them for every single fucking thing, that's very different. But if you are having a hard time, accepting their help is not being a burden. That is just a relationship. A relationship is a seesaw. Someone's gonna need more help than the other at any given point, and it's showing up when it's your turn to give the support and accepting the help when it's their turn to give the support. Another lesson that I learned, I guess, sure, within the past year, but definitely I think this started before then, but has just continued to like deepen its strength within me, is that your body, your size, and your weight is literally the least interesting thing about you. I don't care. I don't care about mine. I don't care about my friends. And something that really put this into perspective for me is I forget where I heard this years ago, but if you think about one of your closest friends and someone said, "Oh, what do you love about them?" And you listed off all of these attributes. "Oh, they're so fun to be around. They're so encouraging. They're so supportive. They're brilliantly smart. They really challenge me in conversation. Like they are witty as hell." You would never in a million years, I fucking hope not, say, "Oh, they're a size 2." Or like, "Oh, they only weigh 120 pounds." Who cares? No one is thinking about that. When you're saying your favorite things about your best friend, why is it so important to you in your head about yourself? It shouldn't be. And for me, once I let go of that obsession and that focus, it allowed me so much more brain space for other things that are wildly more important and that actually make me happy. And I think I almost was forced into this because having kids took that empty brain space that was, like, so focused on it. It no longer exists, the time or the ability to think about it, quite honestly, and that was one of the greatest gifts of having children in my mental health capacity. But if there's one thing I could encourage, like, a young 20-year-old to let go of, it would be that. It is literally the least interesting thing about you. Truly. Truly, truly, truly. Mm. Another life lesson. And this one is more for married couples, specifically ones with kids. But I truly believe that, like, feeling connected in your marriage is the backbone to a happy household. And that's going to look different for every single relationship of how you feel connected. Is your deep connection time like getting dressed up and going out to a fun night in the city? Or is it playing cards or a game in your backyard together after the kids go to bed, or a chill date night in, like, whatever it is, but finding that thing that actually allows you and your partner to feel connected, I think is so important for a happy household. And on that note, when it comes to sexual connection, I feel like I need to say this because I was just having this conversation with many of my friends. And I don't think men listen to this show, but we can clip this and send it to your husband or partner. Foreplay starts in the kitchen. Foreplay does not start at 9 p.m. when we get in bed and you roll over and decide, like, oh, you're in the mood to have sex. Foreplay starts in the kitchen when the kids are running around and you decide, oh, I'm going to unload the dishwasher and clean up this mess and pack our son's lunch for camp the next day. Or in the morning, like, oh, here, I'm going to make them breakfast. Oh, breakfast is done. Let me put it away. Oh, let me grab this up. Foreplay starts in the kitchen. That is when foreplay starts for a woman. I'm not even fucking lying, especially if they are moms. That is when it begins. Not when you decide at 9:30 that suddenly you have a boner, okay? So remember that. And ladies, we can send that aspect to your husbands because I think everyone needs that reminder. And my friends and I talk about this all the time. The men, are getting laid when they are helpful around the house. And that is just fucking facts. The last lesson that I feel like I focused on this past year and really want to continue to focus on is that your kids do not care about your success outside of the home. They care about how you made them feel. And this is tied into my like psychedelic mushroom journey experience that I had because I kind of like reverted into a young version of me and also my child observing me. Like it was very confusing. But I had this aha moment where my kids actually don't care about how successful I am. Like, sure, obviously, I want to be successful enough to provide them means for like a standard living so that they can have like a safe and healthy life. But outside of that, they care how I made them feel. And since that moment, it shifted things for me of what I'm prioritizing and working in a way that optimizes my time to be present with them. And I'm not saying that I'm spending every second with them, but when I am spending time with them, I am present and I am in the moment and I'm focusing on them, not trying to juggle 20,000 things. So when I'm not with them, I'm either prioritizing my joy and happiness with friends or myself, or I'm working my butt off to maximize that working time so that I can then be present with them and spend more time with them. Because the way as parents that we make our children feel is what they're gonna reflect on when they're older. When I think back on my childhood, like, I don't think about, "Oh, well, my mom did this outside of the house, and she had this great career, and wow, that was so" like, sure, that was great of her, and I feel the same way about my dad, and, like, I'm so proud of them, but that's not why I love them. And flipping that narrative for me has been very helpful. So those are some of my big lessons from this past year and things that I'm really focusing on in this 34th year of life. And it's been a great summer. It's been a great year. Did I have a kid this year? I didn't. It has honestly been a really good year of focusing on my career. Like I have leaned heavily into work this year. And at one point, I think I leaned a little too far in. And now I've figured out more of that balance. And I'm so excited for things to come this next year. And who knows, maybe this next year will maybe, hopefully bring a pregnancy. We'll see. But it's been a wonderful year, and I feel blessed to be here, and I feel blessed to have all of you. So thanks for joining the summer I turned 34. And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, please rate, review, subscribe, share, do all of the things, and come back next week for another episode of Conversations with Cam.